G'day, my name is Mark. I'm from Perth in Western Australia, and in a few days' time I'm going to be leaving my home and attempting to cycle around the world. Why is because I simply want to do my best to understand as much as I can about this planet that we live on. I think there's only so much that you learn in school and through the media, that it's important to take matters into your own hands and understand world issues by actually getting out there and seeing it all with your own two eyes. I can't think of any better way of truly immersing myself in the world than doing it slowly on a bicycle. Although it is a bit of a crazy idea, or a totally crazy idea, I've got no idea whether I'm actually going to be able to do it. I've grown up living by the philosophy that you should always chase your dreams no matter what, and to me it sounds relatively simple in theory anyway. Just strap some camping gear onto a bicycle and go for a bit of a ride every day, and hopefully before I know it I might find myself on the other side of the planet with an incredible amount of awesome experiences to show for it. The main thing I've got to do to prepare for the trip is make sure I've got enough gear to survive on the road, starting with a place to sleep every night, a stove to cook food on. Where I'm heading first is Northern Australia, where fresh water is a really scarce resource. I'm going to want to carry upwards of 30 litres of water with me, so I've got a whole bunch of MSR bladders. The lids I've found are prone to leaking with the little nozzle that's at the top, so I'm replacing all the lids with those from Nalgene water bottles, which are much flatter profile and fit perfectly onto the MSR bladders. To be visible at all times, I've got a safety vest which I've adapted to fit onto my rear panniers. I've prepared myself a first aid kit. It's important not only to be carrying first aid items but know exactly how to use them by having done a first aid course. To stay nice and clean, or as clean as possible anyway. I don't think there's going to be too many hot showers on the road. I've got some baby wipes and the all important bog roll. Because the bike's going to be my most important thing in my life for the next few years, I've got a decent padlock. I've also got a lock that's attached to the bike itself, so hopefully I can make sure it's secure at all times. A selection of clothes is the last thing. It's not too much of a glamorous lifestyle, don't need to make any fashion statements, so I've just got a couple of bags of the most basic items, some riding gear and some wet weather gear. If you're trying to cycle around the world, chances are something is going to go wrong with your bike when you're in the middle of nowhere with no one around to help. So it's important to firstly know your bike inside out, and secondly carry enough tools with you to be able to fix anything that goes wrong. Standard items: a tyre, spare tubes, spare spokes. You're obviously carrying a lot of heavy loads on your wheels, so that's where the pressure is, that's where things are going to break. Other little handy things I'm carrying are a tyre tube, which is good for protecting the frame, especially when you're attaching accessories with zip ties and things that might scratch the bike. Loctite is good for securing all the nuts and bolts that you don't want to rattle loose while you're riding around. Nail polish, would you believe? You can get them in all sorts of colours, so you're bound to find one that matches the frame, and they're great for little touch-ups when you scratch the bike, especially to protect it from rusting. The racks themselves might be prone to rust. The panniers often scratch the paint off, so a bit of electrical tape wrapped around the rack can help prevent that from happening. And some lights that I've attached some Velcro to. With Velcro on these, I can basically attach the lights in any arrangement I want on the back of my bike. Lastly, just a little medicine box like this one is a great way to keep nuts and bolts arranged. There's only one day to go now before I leave home, so I'm just checking out some maps, so I've got at least some idea of where I'm going to be heading in the first week or so. I've decided to do a loop around the southwest of Australia first. So tomorrow I've got a mate dropping me off on the way to a town called Kalgoorlie, east of Perth, and then I'll spend a week cycling down to Esperance, and after that it'll be anywhere between 1 and 2 months getting back to Perth and look around the coast. Exactly how long it'll take I'm not quite sure, because I've done no serious training for this. I'm just going to have to take it easy each day and just make sure I've got enough food and water to get between the towns where I can restock my supplies. And hopefully this will act as a really good practice run. I can test out my gear and my bike setup thoroughly, and at the end of it be in Perth to make any adjustments that I need before continuing north and towards Asia and the rest of the world. So I'm back in Perth after my southwest ride with slightly longer hair and slightly fatter legs, but more importantly a long list of awesome memories to look back on already. It was 7 weeks on the road in the end, so it turned into a bit of an epic practice ride, but it was such an incredibly valuable way to introduce myself to cycle touring and learn about all those little things that I want to change up on the bike to perfect my setup and be ready to tackle the rest of the world. Things like not having to carry nail polish. I thought it was a great idea at the start of the video. It's probably not the worst idea in the world, but I've since found out about things like frame protection tape and helicopter tape, which are better ways to prevent the scratches and chips from happening in the first place rather than trying to treat afterwards by carrying little bottles of paint. Another thing I've changed up on the bike is the method by which I protect the racks from being rubbed through by the panniers. I thought electrical tape was a great idea, but turns out it's not. They just wear off just like the paint. So I've fitted my racks with some clear vinyl tube, and that should be a more permanent solution to preventing the racks from rusting. Another thing I've made is a bike stand. I did carry a little stand with me, but it broke due to the weight on my bike. So I've made my own one out of a collapsible tent pole. I fitted a plumbing attachment to the top, which acts as a cradle to hold the top tube of the bike, and this should be a much more robust, long-lasting way to be able to stand my bike up wherever I happen to be. Another thing I've made is a storage solution for my tripod. I found it incredibly annoying to unstrap my tripod off the back of the bike, strap the bags back on, all of that sort of messing around in order to make a quick video. So I wanted a way in which I could pull the tripod off the bike very quickly. So I've adapted a PVC pipe which will be attached permanently to the bike, and it's got a cap on the end that I can simply unscrew and slide out the tripod very quickly whenever I want to use it. So I've spent the last week or so sorting these things out on the bike, and I'm pretty much ready now to get back on it and keep riding and try and make it around the rest of the world, which is a bit of a scary thought. This time I'll be leaving home properly and not really looking back, which is a little bit daunting, but I have been thinking about and planning this for a very long time, so I do feel as ready as I can be, and yeah, I can't wait to get out there and start exploring. I'll keep making these videos along the way so I can tell the story in full, and hopefully we can learn together about what it's like to cycle around this world.